On this episode of Defining Wealth Beyond the Numbers, I sat down with Charlie Clark, Vice President of Communications for the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce. Charlie has spent more than 25 years helping tell the story of the Lowcountry, leading communications and public relations efforts that have generated national recognition for our community. In our conversation, we talk about leadership, relationships, and how meaningful work and community impact and shape how we define wealth. I think you're really going to enjoy this discussion. Be sure to subscribe and follow the podcast for new episodes each week. Welcome, Charlie Clark.
Thanks.
I know you are the Vice President of Communications with the Hilton Head and Bluffton Chamber of Commerce.
Yes,
I made sure I remember
am.
that one. So I'm just going to jump right into it.
Yeah.
You know, for us and for me, I like to talk a lot about work. I enjoy work. So what was your first job?
Wow, first job. My first job. I lied about my age to get a job at 14,
Nice.
and I was a gift wrapper in a high-end department store in Houston, Texas. And to this day, I will tell you that's probably one of the jobs that has served me the best. Honestly, it's just one of those life skills that I can gift wrap in like 10 seconds or less and match up seams, and so it comes in handy. The holidays and birthdays.
So you would hate to see me wrap a present.
Probably so. It would
You would be
painful.
correcting me very
Yeah.
quickly.
I put my husband out of his misery many times. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. My first real job after that was I was in advertising and marketing. My first sort of post-college, I was in Los Angeles, and I remember going to an agency. I'd always wanted to work in advertising. I remember sitting in the lobby going, I'm so not taking this job. I am absolutely, because the commute.
Yeah.
It was a tough commute in LA, and I thought, there's just no way. How long do I have to be here before I can get out? And they offered me a job on the spot, and I was too young and stupid, really, to know how to say no to that. So I did, and it was a good thing I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long was the commute?
Probably an hour and 20 minutes on the 405 in a little Toyota stick shift at the time, you know, that college car that you still had before you could afford the next one.
Yep.
And but it was good. It was good. I worked in Santa Monica at Wilshire and Bundy for an agency on a national account, which at the time I didn't know that was a big deal. You know, it was
Ignorance is bliss sometimes, right?
ignorance is
You don't know.
bliss. Yeah, but what a great start to an ad career.
When I first started working in the city, I had to commute an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Drive to the train station, stand on the platform in the cold at 5 o'clock in the morning, get on the train to the city, transfer to the subway, walk to the office. But it taught me a lot. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm at Hilton Head, so I don't have to do that commute anymore.
Right, exactly. Commuting in LA is its own thing.
Yeah.
But it was what a great job. Happened to be a mentor that really helped me launch a career and maybe not be so stupid in my 20s. But advertising is one of those fields that rewards hard work.
Yeah.
Rewards talent.
Which is nice.
It is. It rewards talent and it rewards hard work. I remember literally like during a pitch, in pitching new business, we were on the Taco Bell and Pepsi accounts at the time, but pitching new business, and I'd have a sleeping bag, you know, at your desk, and you would rest and you would get up and get ready for the pitch. So yeah,
That's great.
good training ground.
So you mentioned mentor.
Yeah.
Now, I never had a mentor, but I would love to have. All right. So just tell me a little bit about your mentor and what he or she taught you. And
Yeah, he
So
was
forth.
great. A guy named Ken Gal, who's actually still in advertising in LA, believe it or not. And I'll never forget, pulled me in his office and asked me about an ad, this big ad that was going to run. He and another gal, it's pretty intimidating. So he goes, Charlie, what do you think of this ad? And I said, he kind of hemmed and hawed, and I go, that's just my personal opinion. He goes, oh, Charlie, it's all just personal opinion. You know, just those little nuggets, I think, along the way. I mean, to this day, I still have mentors. I still have people I turn to and say, riddle me this. You know, the
Correct.
people who aren't afraid to tell you what you're doing or not doing, or here's what you're afraid of.
yeah,
Here's, you know, peeling your own onion when you sometimes can't do it.
it's great.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you can't do it.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Most of the time you can't do it.
But what's interesting is when they prompt it to you, then you start to realize it. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing. That actually is true.
Yeah, it is true.
That's why I would love to have a mentor. But anyway, so going back into the chamber, right? What got you into the chamber? How did you start there?
Yeah, you know, I vacationed here. One too many good vacations. The story of everybody's,
Same for me.
right? One too many good vacations. And last vacation, we thought, we could stay. We could stay. And believe it or not, that very day, we decided to say we're still on vacation. And we're starting to think, and we're looking at houses. And I got a call from a realtor back home. And she said, do you know of anyone who wants to sell in your neighborhood? Because I have someone who wants to buy. And I went, wow. As a matter of fact, I do.
Timing.
I do. And so we sold a house in 48 hours, full asking price, our cash offer with a cash backup on the table. So meant to be. Very serendipitous. And we owned a business at the time. My family's owned a business in the Rocky Mountain region. And our sales rep had always said, if you ever want to sell, give me first crack at it. And so we got home on a Sunday and had lunch with him on Monday and sold the business. And 2 months later, we were Hilton Head. Our kids were 3 and 5 at the time.
That's quick, by the way.
It was quick. It was very.
You don't waste any time.
Very meant to be. Very meant to be. So, my kids were young, so we were fortunate enough to raise them on the island. And we got to Hilton Head and thought we were so original and found out there was an entire island full of people who had done the same thing pretty much. So.
And we'll continue to do the same thing as you guys go on.
Right. So it was great.
Tell me a little about selling the business. That's interesting to me. What was that process? What made you realize that this is, I know you wanted to move here, but selling the business is an interesting life lesson.
Well, I've been around the block. I grew up in the South, born in the South, but grew up in Houston, really, Los Angeles, Detroit, kind of went around about Wyoming, of all places, is where we moved from. My husband's family is from Wyoming and from the Rocky Mountain region.
Wow.
And we just thought it was time. It was a bold move.
Yeah.
And I was scared to death. I remember saying to my husband, we could stay. We could always go back. And, at the time, and I had interviewed with the chamber. And I did something that I actually, at the time, I advise other 20-somethings now to do, don't wait for the references thing. I sent the references. I had people just sending letters, like, to get me out of the slush pile. Because I thought, what am I going to do in Hilton Head?
Yeah.
And literally, I went home that night after vacation. I went online and didn't see anything in Hilton Head. And the next morning, the VP of Communications position popped open. I went, I think that's the job I want. And sure enough, it was. So that was, I interviewed in May and we were here in June.
So that's why when people say, someone, so-and-so is lucky. So I think you make your own luck. You just put now we all need a little bit of it, but you have to put yourself in the right position for when it happens, you're there for you to benefit from it.
Absolutely. That whole opportunity meets preparation thing. And sometimes I think you just need a little chutzpah.
Yeah.
You just need a little bit of that to just go for it. I think so many times we hold back or worry about what everybody's going to think. And what a place to be. I mean, if you're going to be in Hilton Head and Bluffton, and just to watch, it's a privilege, honestly, to watch businesses grow and do what they do. And it's pretty phenomenal.
So leading into that, that's a great segue. For me, I'd love to know about, you're dealing a lot with businesses on the island, Bluffton in general. What are some of the communication mistakes that you think they make that certain businesses
and I'm
make?
sure you've seen this. I see a lot of people who work in their business, not on their business. I see businesses who think they can do it all, especially from an entrepreneur, solopreneur position. And at some point, you have to do it all. There is that point. But there's such a brain trust in the Lowcountry, so many great resources to have. So I just am always encouraging people to get out there and find what you don't know. Mm-hmm. Talk to people who know more than you do. What's that great saying? It's what you learn after you know it all that counts.
Yep.
So it's just a wealth of information. Get curious. Especially in today's world, there's no better time to be in business, I think, than right now. Absolutely right now. It was my son, my 20-something son. I think we do, obviously, as you can imagine, a lot of grand openings and a lot of ribbon cuttings. And you can get, maybe after you've been there for 25 years, like, oh gosh, gotta get to the next one kind of thing. And I'll never forget, he said, Mom, for you, that's just another grand opening. For this family, that's their life savings, and they're just such a great reminder. And every time I go to one since then, I see it differently.
That's great.
Yeah, I really do.
That's great that he recognized it.
Yeah.
Do you try and teach your kids any of those business skills or anything?
Well, yeah, and it's so funny to see as I have 2 boys. And do you have kids?
Me too.
Yeah, I have 2 boys. And it's funny to see the differences in them. I grew up with one child who was a brainiac, my oldest, pretty textbook. My second one, the goal was like for college, let's just get him in.
Yep.
Let's get him out. But I always just say, my role is to get him in and get him out. But at the end of the day, we're all going to end up working for Cameron. He just has an entrepreneurial spirit to him, or that, some people I think are a little more attuned to it, more attuned to it. So I think being a resource, the chamber is just such a big resource that can probably do things that you can't do. If you're looking to grow your business, you can't get 150 people in a room every month. We can't. So just getting and introducing them, networking, that relationships, as we sort of talked to a little bit earlier before the podcast, building relationships is something I think that is a really undervalued resource for the chamber. And whether you come ever come to an event or networking event or a state of the region or whatever it is we're doing, your chamber's still working behind the scenes, passing, legislation or helping legislation get passed that's business friendly, or somebody will pick up the phone and say, hey, we're having issues with this from a labor law perspective. We're going to help hopefully be able to go, let us help work on that with you.
That's great.
Yeah.
So looking at the chamber, right? What would you be able to do? Give some examples for business owners out there. How could they reach out to you guys? What would be a way that you could help them out? Just give us some idea of what the benefits are for them to reach out to the chamber.
Yeah, so many, when our members aren't shy. We have over 1,300 of them.
I'm one.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And by chamber standards, that's a large chamber. Really is. It's a large chamber. So they're not shy about telling you what they think. And we ask them all the time, why do you belong? What matters to you? We always want to make sure that we're keeping a pulse of what's important to our members. And they'll tell us that networking is important. Exposure for my business is important. Learning about my business. We get so caught up sometimes in running our business or doing our business is that you want to learn more about AI. I don't know what to do with AI. What am I going to do with AI for my business? Well, voila. We're going to hopefully help tell you a little bit about that, whether it's a seminar.
Which is great, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great thing to see that aha moment. And so you're going to sit next to someone in that seminar who's going through the same things you are. What a great place to build relationships, not just for your own business, but I do it this way. How do you do it? Or to build business. I mean, I have members who have said, I've never walked out of a executive connection event or a conversation and cocktails without business. That's pretty powerful. That's a pretty important thing. So just, I think, staying attuned to what our members are looking for and making sure we're meeting those needs. And we ask them every year, are we doing it? And I just literally, I'm presenting tomorrow to our board of directors on the results of this year's membership survey. And it's always enlightening. It's always humbling to find out what they need, and it's always insightful.
Yeah. You mentioned the word networking. So my son is a junior in college, right? So he's looking to get that internship, and then after that, the job. And, he always talks about networking. And I always say to him, what my definition of networking is? Doing something for someone and expecting nothing in return.
Exactly.
And it is amazing over time how that comes back to you.
Yeah.
Without you even, because people recognize that.
Yeah.
They recognize that you're doing something for them with nothing in return.
Nothing in return. What's funny is I get asked to speak for college groups from time to time. And what a magical time a junior or senior year is, because it's the one time, and I've said to people, this is where, pick up the phone. Are you interested in this business and you want to talk to that CEO? Pick up the phone and have coffee. So many times, if you're a college student, a really great leader, they can't always do everything, but they recognize what you're doing and they'll reward it.
Yep.
And it never fails to be a positive thing. Something happens after you graduate, then you're another guy looking for a job. But in that junior, senior year is a magical moment. And I have always told my boys, don't waste a second of it, because you can do things and open doors that you can't do later.
And people respect that. Business owners, community leaders, they respect that.
They do.
Yeah, because they remember, they remember when they were younger.
Yeah.
And how scared they might have been.
Right.
And the idea that you're actually reaching out, and they remember that. And by the way, that's where it helps you later on.
Right.
Because they'll remember that.
I always try to be, and I think it's important for all of us to be who you needed then. Be who you needed, be what you needed, be that person that someone can be vulnerable and comfortable with going, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. How should I do this? Or see it, be able to recognize it when you see it in a team member or a staff member or a business owner who's just trying to make their way. I know, I think, let me connect you. Let me do this. Yeah, it's a great day at the office.
So what do you think the businesses in the Lowcountry do very well?
I think there's a spirit here that I think very well. There's a lot of just roll up your sleeves. There's a lot of just do it, just get it done. I see that versus I think in an urban setting sometimes where it's a little more corporatized. Here, though, you turn around twice, over 80% of our businesses are small businesses.
Yeah.
It's the majority of businesses in the country, and that's what makes this economy run. I think big corporate gets all the glory, but in reality, that's not who's
Oh, it's small businesses.
Small businesses, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So I think businesses here, I'm just always so amazed and impressed with people who wake up in the morning with an idea and then just go out and make it happen. It's pretty phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and to have a front row seat to do it.
So what qualities do you think a successful business owner should have?
Integrity, number one. It's a small town.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't,
It's even in a big town, it travels. Word
integrity
travels.
matters, because you have to look yourself in the morning in the mirror. I think if you look at great leaders and successful business people, what they do right, you see a commitment to integrity. You see if you look at really great leaders and successful business people, they're not rushing around. They're not. They remember. I mean, there's a curiosity there, I see, that integrity to do it right, to be, I mean, it sounds basic, but it's really important. It really matters. And those contacts you come into contact with, or those businesses and those clients, they'll see it too. And it may not feel like it's paying off in the interim, but it always does.
It does.
Always wins.
It's a long game that works.
Long game that works. And lack of will always. People's memories are long, as they should be. Because I'm a big believer that if people show you who they are, believe them the first time, and it's a mark. I mean, you can't, not saying people can't make mistakes. I've made plenty of them myself. We all have. But just that commitment to doing it right with integrity and excellence.
So another word for integrity for me would be brand. So I tell my kids, you have to build your brand. So a business builds their brand, but if you're a small business owner, you are the business.
You are.
So you need to build your brand. So you need to put out what you want people to think you are. Don't let them make that decision on who you are. You put out the brand, so now they know who you are.
Yeah,
I tell my kids that all the time. Build your brands from today.
Brand. And you are your brand. I mean, you may think your business is your business, but anytime you walk into a room, you're communicating something. Is that fair? Nah, probably not. Is it reality?
It's life.
Absolutely. Part of my job is I also handle public relations for the destination as a whole. So I'm tasked with, it's a great, great, fun job to be able to tell stories, to be able to tell those stories. And I speak to groups a lot, whether it be, Rotary groups or college groups. And people want to get really caught up in what's brand, the Hilton Head brand, or you always hear a lot about that. And I'll say it's the best way to explain it. I'll ask people when I'm sitting somewhere, I go, when you tell people say, where are you from when you're on vacation, and you say Hilton Head Island, how do they react? That's your brand.
That's right.
That's your brand. And when that changes, we're in trouble. But for now, when you say to someone, oh, I'm from Hilton, they go, oh, Hilton Head.
That is the reaction.
That's the brand. And so you could take something really complex in marketing, what people spend gazillions of dollars to get. You boil it down. How do people think about your company? How do people think about your business? What's the reputation?
And how do they think about you as a person?
Right. Especially in your business. I mean, you're tied to something pretty important.
Of course.
Yeah. How, people's money and people's relationships with their wealth is pretty powerful. So your brand has to be, the integrity matters probably even more. Yeah.
So you mentioned wealth. This is a podcast about wealth, right? Beyond the numbers. So what would be if you had to think back when you first started working, what was your definition of wealth? And what is it now? Has it changed or is it similar?
Oh, probably, yeah, 180. 180, absolutely. I think we're all chasing in our 20s, or at least I was. I sort of had I had to do it on my own. You know, I worked my way through school. I worked since I was 14. And so I was always just hustling, just hustle. So my idea, wealth at that point, was self-sufficiency. I wanted it all. You know, I wanted the corner office and I wanted the car and I wanted all the opportunities that came with that. And now over time, when you grow up a little bit and you see it, it's not that at all. You know, it's the end of the day. And I always say there are those, you know, eulogy values, and then those values, the world, you know, did you love and were you loved? People really don't talk about your wealth at your funeral. They may talk, but they talk about how you impacted other people.
That's right.
And maybe your wealth is a vehicle for doing that. It can be a very powerful vehicle. To me, wealth is it's not about money. It's about options. It's about relationships. All those things, those cliches you find out are really,
But it's true.
really true. Yeah,
Right.
really, really true.
Okay. Well, great. I appreciate your time. It's been great having you, and maybe we'll have you back at some point. You had a lot of good things to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.